I like to begin this talk by sometimes asking people to raise their hands if they were alive in June of 2007. Most people do. Most people were, but it was a profoundly different kind of life. And we have fundamentally and very quickly responded to the changed environment produced by mobile computing, and we've basically become a different kind of species. And so, for example, we know that mobile changes the ways in which our brains are fundamentally wired. We know that millennials prefer their phones over sex. This could have profound implications for the future of the species. And Robert Rose's favorite, or the factoid rather, that Robert Rose loves to hate, because it appears in virtually every presentation given in the last year or so, Microsoft scientists have discovered that the human attention span is now shorter than that of fish sticks. Or it may have been goldfish, but I really wasn't paying attention when I read the article. So, as Marshall McLuhan says, beyond all of these evolutionary metaphors or analogies, the media critic, the original media and technology critic, Marshall McLuhan, said, "We shape our tools, and thereafter our tools shape us." Remember when he said that? No, you don't, because Marshall McLuhan didn't say it. Actually, it was Father John Culkin, who was McLuhan's colleague and friend at Fordham University. Nevertheless, he wrote this in an article about McLuhan and McLuhan's methodologies or approaches, and it is an eminently McLuhan-esque statement. So we don't feel bad about attributing it to Marshall McLuhan. What McLuhan did say is famously, the medium is the message. The medium is the message. This is, in my view, the most misunderstood 5-word sentence in the English language. And McLuhan probably did it on purpose because he loved confusing people while trying to enlighten them. So there are 2 primary ways in which this is misunderstood. One of them is to think that he's telling us to ignore the medium, the form, and concentrate entirely on the content, the message. So if you want to study television programming, study what's delivered over the television airwaves or the cable. That's wrong. That's not what McLuhan had in mind. The opposite, or rather very much connected, but the second misunderstanding, and this is the one that's surprisingly widespread among people who think they understand what McLuhan was saying, is just the opposite. Ignore the content and concentrate on the form. The medium itself is the message, is the content. So, for example, people say about Twitter, obviously, then Twitter is the eminently McLuhan-esque medium, because obviously it doesn't matter what you tweet, this or that tweet. They all pass by and disappear anyway. What matters is the format, the 140-character limit, the way in which they stream by in real time, and so forth. And that's supposed to exhibit what McLuhan was getting at. Also wrong. But if we go back to the good father John Culkin, I think that this can help us, or this provides a key that unlocks the mystery of the medium is the message. For I think it just is as simple as this. We shape our tools, that is, we create a new medium. So for example, we take radio and we extend it so that you can send pictures as well as sound through the airwaves. We create a new tool, and thereafter, that tool shapes us. That is the message. The message of television is the way that it changes us. So in other words, the medium is the message means the message or the meaning of any medium, any human creation, is nothing more or less than the way in which it changes us. The medium is its message, its impact upon us. So, for example, you tend to think about consumers, or we have long tended to think about consumers like this. People who buy, or might potentially buy, stuff that we want to sell, like this loving and dedicated mother who's buying a variety of frozen dinners and bottles of ketchup for her family. How we should think of consumers is something like this. Not having anything to do with purchases, but having to do with the consumption of content. So I would try to put it in this way. The message so far of ubiquitous computing, I say so far because this is an ongoing process and it will be different tomorrow or in a year or in 10 years. The message of ubiquitous computing is that consumer changes from a noun to a verb, from a kind of thing to a state of being. The consumer consumes content, is a voracious, insatiable, omnivorous consumer of content. That is what drives content, the need for content marketing, and that's why we're here talking about intelligent content management and delivery in order to respond to this insatiable appetite.